So okay, this is the Plan Stage weekly meeting for the 6th of November 2019. I've got an announcement first of all in the team update section. On the 1st of January 2020, I'm going to be switching roles and teams, so I'll still be at GitLab, but I won't be an engineering manager and I won't be working on Plan. So I'll be joining the scalability team as a backend engineer. I did some stuff there, basically nothing personal. Like, I'm very happy working on Plan. It was just that I've been talking to Tim for a little while about switching to an individual contributor role, and hadn't necessarily had a particularly close timeline on that. But then when the scalability team was announced, I thought that seemed like something that I'd be really interested in. So I applied for that, got the position there. As far as I'm aware, we are trying to open the position to replace me. We just haven't done it yet. And for figuring out like how we hand over stuff exactly, I guess John and Tim and I will work on that. But yeah, it's been great working with everybody. I will continue to work with you, just less, essentially.
Yeah, congrats, Sean. It's been a pleasure.
It looks like Keenan, Donald, and John had an item about generating more handoffs, but it just says let's flesh this out from last week, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was Keenan. Keenan put that in. That was came from a call. Keenan's just here actually, so maybe he can take it. But that came from a call me and Donald and Keenan had, I think, early last week. And it was just that, yeah, with the new workflow labels now, I think Donald in particular is finding that there are more and more handoffs of work. Keenan, do you want to take this?
Yeah. Sorry for being a few minutes late, guys. My Mac is updating and it's taking a very long time. Yeah, so I mean, John pretty much covered it. It seems we're really just wanting to discuss how to either minimize the number of handoffs we have to do or make them more efficient, just because Donald and John and I all kind of feel like we get some downtime between the items when we do hand them off. They sit there for a few days before they get picked up, and it's causing some kind of slow down in getting items across the board. We're just really curious if anybody else has experienced that, or if we can kind of get into more details if we need to.
Okay, I'll go on with the next item. So as a way to try collaborating more with the rest of the engineers, I'm trying this initiative of calling other engineers in the Plan team for coffee break calls to get to know what they have been recently working, the challenges in terms of test automation, and what I can do to help more, besides what I have already been doing. So since we don't have that many engineers in the call, I would ask especially you, Sean, and Ho, and John, to pass this over to the rest of the engineers on your team, please.
Can do. Just a point we do have in our communication guidelines that we don't really go in for like hierarchical communication. So if you just want to tell people that, just go ahead. You don't need.
I'll just post on Slack.
Yeah, you don't need to like. We try and avoid like a flow of information where like.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
We tell someone's manager and then they tell their reports and then they tell their reports because
I would just post on S Plan.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I guess that was a quick call.
I added one more thing.
Oh, sorry, Gabe.
It's fine. I did it last minute. When I started, we were talking about refactoring the issue board and needing to refactor it since it was like one of the older things in Vue that we'd written before we started using Vuex and before GraphQL and Apollo and all that other stuff. I'm trying to plan out the roadmap for that, and there's a lot of feature additions that are fairly large lift. I think like swim lanes and some other things of that nature, and we also wanted to make it real time. Like, is there a preferred order that we do the issue board in terms of like, do we want to refactor it to something first, like GraphQL first, and then add new features, or do we want to do it over time? Like, is there any sort of strategy that I should be thinking about when trying to stage the roadmap?
So I think this refactor is mostly to do with the front end, right?
Yeah, but I would assume that there's also some GraphQL work on the back end that we need to do theoretically. If we're going to be doing anything or storing anything with issue lists and that sort of thing. The reason why I'm asking is there's also features in the pipe to do things like configure boards to use local ordering on the board instead of like the global relative sorting number that we assign. And just like a bunch of things like that where like I would like to figure out how to stage the roadmap in a way that works best with highest quality engineering output. If that makes sense.
Yes. So I think from the backend side, the way that we've done that with the sidebar has worked pretty well. Like a bunch of stuff for the sidebar, like support in GraphQL is already there. We're adding the things that aren't strictly blocking the front end, but are like, any mutations, basically any updates, like we're adding now as well. I think we can probably do the same again. I'm not sure though. Does that like answer your question?
Yeah, I guess like should I put together an issue for that now and start the process? Because I don't want to like get to the point where like we communicate that we're gonna ship some feature like swim lanes, but then it requires like a massive like lift to refactor before we can implement the new feature.
Sorry, yeah, totally get you. Yeah, like let's go ahead and get started on that. I think as we've also been doing the sidebar stuff recently, like we should be able to learn from that. Alexandru, I see you're on the call, and I know you did one of the issues related to that. I don't know if you had any particular thoughts on how like making that available in GraphQL went from the backend side.
Yeah, so for the sidebar, I think it worked fairly well because it was broken down to very kind of small issues and like some very specifics, what needs to be changed on the GraphQL side. So I guess it makes sense to at least start an issue to look into that and then just break that down into smaller parts that are kind of known now that can be done. I'm pretty sure they'll pop up some other stuff as we change the UI and add stuff, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Does that help, Gabe, then?
Yeah, it does. I'm good. Thank you. So yes, it is the shortest meeting ever.
Cool. Well, have a great day, everybody. Sorry, I should have said, if you do have any questions about like how stuff works out, I'm just going to paste my message into the plan channel and feel free to ask me there or on Slack or whatever. Obviously, a video call is not the greatest place for those, but yeah.
Cool. All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.